Presidential Decree 1582, Philippine Environmental Code. Philippine Environmental Code, whereas the broad spectrum of environment has become matter of vital concern to the government. Whereas the national leadership has been taking a step towards this direction by creating the National Environmental Protection Council under Presidential Decree number 1121. Whereas it is necessary that the creation of the Council be implemented with the launching of a comprehensive program of environmental protection and management. Whereas such as program can assume tangible and meaningful significance only by establishing specific environment management policies and prescribing environment quality standard and the Philippine Environment Code. Now therefore, I, Ferdinand E. Marcos, President of the Republic of the Philippines, by virtue of the power vested in me by the Constitution, do hereby order and decree. Section 1. Short title. The decree shall be known and cited as the Philippine Environment Code. Title 1. Air Quality Management. Section 2. Purpose. The purpose of this title are to achieve and maintain such level of air quality as to protect public health, to prevent to the greatest extent practicable injury and or damage plant and animal life and property, and promote the social and economic development of the country. Chapter 1. Standard. Section 3. Ambient Air Quality Standard. This shall be established ambient air quality standard, which shall be prescribed the maximum concentration of air pollutant perceivable in the atmospheric consistent with public health, safety, and general welfare. In the establishment of ambient air quality standard, factors such as local atmospheric condition, location and land use, and available technology shall be considered among others. Section 4. National Emission Standard. This shall be established National Emission Standard for new and existing stationary and mobile source of pollution, which shall consider, among others, such as factory and type of industry, practicable control technology available, local and land use, and the nature pollutant emitted. Section 5. Community Noise Standard. Appropriate standard for community noise levels should be established, considering, among others, location, zoning, and land use classification. Section 6. Standard for noise producing equipment. This shall be established as standard for noise producing equipment, such as construction equipment, transportation equipment, stationary engines, and electrical or electronic equipment, and such similar equipment or contrabands. The installation of any noise-producing equipment shall conform with the requirements of Presidential Decree 1096 and other applicable laws, as well as their implementing rules and regulations. Section 7. Aircraft Emission and Sonic Booms. Appropriate government agency shall encourage research, studies on the harmful effect of aircraft emission in the environment in order to establish reasonable emission standard. Chapter 2. Regulation and Enforcement. Section 8. Air Quality and Noise Standard. The National Pollution Control Commission, its coordination with appropriate government entities, shall be responsible for the enforcement of ambient air quality emission and noise standard, including the monitoring and surveillance of air pollutant, license and permitting of air pollution control facilities, and formulation of appropriate rules and regulation. Existing air quality emission and noise standard may be released, be revised and or modified with new development and technology. Section 9. Aircraft Noise. Community noise standard around airport shall be implemented by the Civil Aeronautics Administration in coordination with the National Pollutant Control Commission. Section 10. Vehicular emission. The Land Transportation Commission, in coordination with the National Pollution Control Commission, shall implement emission standard for motor vehicles and may deputize other appropriate law enforcement agency for the purpose. Section 11. Radioactive emission. The release and emission of radioactivity in the environment is incident to the established or provision of nuclear energy facilities and radioactive material, handling, transport, production, storage, and use and disposal of radioactive material shall be regulated with the Philippine Atomic Energy Commission in coordination with other appropriate government agencies. Chapter 3. Monitoring. Section 12. Air Quality Monitoring. The National Pollution Control Commission in coordination with appropriate government agencies to establish to the greatest extent practicable an air quality monitoring network. The National Environment Protection Council shall be furnished with the rules of the air quality monitoring activities. Section 13. Weather Modification. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Service Administration shall monitor regularly meteorological factors affecting environmental conditions in order to effectively guide air pollution monitoring activities. Activities relating to weather modification, such as rainfall, stimulation, and smart shading experiment, shall be undertaken in consultation and in coordination with the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Service Administration. Title 2. Water Quality Management. Section 14. Purpose. This is the purpose of this title, to prescribe management guidelines aimed to protect and improve the quality of the Philippines water resource group, classification of Philippine water, establishment of water quality standard, protection and improvement of the quality of the Philippines water source, and responsibilities for surveillance and mitigation of pollution incidents. Chapter 1. Classification and Standard. Section 50. Classification of Philippine waters. The National Pollution Control Commission, in coordination with the appropriate government agencies, shall classify Philippine waters according to their best usage. In classification said water, the National Pollution Control Commission shall take into account, among others, the following: the existing quality of the body of water at the time of classification, the size, depth, surface, area covered, volume, direction, rate of flow, gradient of stream, and the most beneficial uses of the said bodies of water and land bordering them for residential, agricultural, commercial, industrial, recreational, and systematic purposes. Section 16. Reclassification of water based on intended beneficial use, where the public interest so required, the National Pollution Control Commission, in coordination with appropriate government agencies, shall classify a body of water based on the extended beneficial use and take such a step that may be necessary to upgrade the quality of the said water. Section 17. Upgrading of water quality, where the quality of water has deteriorated to a degree where its state will adversely affect its use, the government agencies concerned shall take such measures as may be necessary to upgrade the quality of such water to meet the prescribed water quality standard. Section 18. Water Quality Standards. The National Pollution Control Commission shall prescribe the quality and implement the standard consistent with the guidelines set by the National Environmental Protection Council and the classification of water prescribed in the preceding section, taking into consideration, among others, the following: the standard of quality or the purity may be according to beneficial uses, the technology related to water pollution control. Chapter 2. Protection and Improvement of Water Quality. Section 19. Enforcement and Coordination. The production, utilization, storage, and distribution of hazardous, toxics and other substances, such as radioactive material, heavy metal, residues, fertilizer, and oils, and disposal discharge, and dumping of untreated wastewater, mine tailings, and other substances that may be pollute any body of water of the Philippines resulting from normal operation of industries. Waterborne, source and other human activities, as well as those resulting from accidental spills and discharge, shall be regulated by appropriate government agency pursuant to their prescribed characters and enabling legislation. Section 20. Cleanup operation. It shall be responsibility of the polluter to contain, remove and clean up water pollution incident at its own expense. Section 21. Water quality monitoring and surveillance. The various government agencies concerned with environmental protection will establish the greatest extent practicable a water quality surveillance and monitoring network with just suspicion, station and sampling schedule to meet the needs of the country. Title 3. Land Use Management. Section 22. Purpose. The purpose of this title are to provide a rational, orderly, and efficient acquisition, utilization, and disposition of land and its resource in order to derive therefrom maximum benefits and to encourage the prudent use and conservation of land resource in order to prevent an imbalance between the national needs and such resource. Section 23. National Land Using. The Human Settlements Commission, in coordination with the appropriate agencies of the government, shall formulate and recommend to the National Environmental Protection Council and land use scheme consistent with the purpose of this title. The land use scheme shall include among others the following: a science and technology-oriented land inventory and classification system, a determination of present land use, the extent to which they are utilized, underutilized, withered, idle, or abandoned, a comprehensive and accurate determination for the adaptability of the land for community development, agriculture, industry, commerce, and other fields open the able. A method of identification of areas where uncontrolled development, cold resorts, and irreparable damage to important heuristic, cultural, or aesthetic value or natural system or process of national significance. A method for exercising control by the appropriate government agency over the use of land areas of critical environmental concern and areas impacted by the public facilities including, but not limited to, airports, highways, bridges, ports, and waterways, building and other infrastructures projects. A method to ensure the consideration of regional development and land use in local regulation. Policy for influencing the location of new communities and methods for assuring appropriate control over the use of land around new communities. A system of control and regulation pertaining to areas and development activities designed to ensure that any source of pollution will not be located where it would result in violation of any applicable environmental pollution control regulation, and a recommended method for the periodic revision and dating of the national land use scheme to meet changing conditions. Section 24. Location of industries. In the location of industries, factories, plants, depots, and similar industrial establishments, the regulating reinforcement agency or the government will take into consideration the social, economic, geographic, and significant environmental impact of the said establishment. Title 4. Natural Resource Management and Conservation. Section 25. Purpose. The purpose of this title are to provide the basic policy on the management and conservation of the country natural resource to obtain the optimum benefits therefrom and to preserve the same of the future generation and to provide general measure through which a forested policy may be carried out effectively. Chapter 1. Fisheries and Aquatic Resource. Section 26. Management Policy. The national government, through the Department of Natural Resources, shall establish a system of rational exploitation of fisheries and aquatic resource within the Philippine territory and shall encourage citizens' participation wherein to maintain and enhance the optimum and continuous productivity of the same. Section 27. Measure for national exploitation. Measure for national exploitation of fisheries and other aquatic resources may include but shall not be limited to the following: undertaking manpower and expertise development, acquiring the necessary facilities and equipment, regulating the marketing of threatened species of fish or the aquatic resource, reviewing or existing rules and regulation on the exploitation of fisheries and aquatic resource with the view of formulating guidelines for the systematic and effective enforcement thereof, and consideration banishing species of the fish and aquatic resource such as turtle, sea snake, crocodiles, coral, as well as maintaining the mangrove areas, marshes, and embalmed lands, coral reef areas, and islands serving as sanctuaries for fish and other aquatic life. Chapter 2. Wildlife. Section 28. Management Policy. The national government, through the Department of Natural Resources, shall establish a system for rational exploitation and conservation of wildlife resource and shall encourage citizens' participation in the maintenance and enhancement of their continuous productivity. Section 29. Measure for national exploitation. Measure for rational exploitation of wildlife resource may be include, but shall not be limited to the following: regulating the marketing of threatened wildlife resource, reviewing or existing rules and regulation on the exploitation of wildlife resource with a view of formulating guidelines for the systematic and effective enforcement thereof, and conserving the threatened species of wawa, increasing the rate of reproduction, maintaining the original habitat, habitat manipulation, determining bug gill limits, population control in relation to carrying capacity of any given area, banning of discriminate and unattractive means of catching or hunting them. Chapter 3. Forestry and Soil Conservation. Section 30. Management Policy for Forestry. The national government, through the Department of Natural Resources, shall undertake a system of rational exploitation of forest resource and shall encourage citizens' participation therein to keep the country forest resource at maximum productivity at all times. Section 31. Measure for rational exploitation of forest resource. Measure of the rational exploitation of forest resource may include, but shall not be limited to the following: regulating the marketing of threatened forest resource, reviewing of all existing rules and regulation on the exploitation of forest resource with a view of formulating guidelines for the systematic and specific enforcement thereof, conserving threatened species of flora as well increasing the rate of propagation, the banning of destructive modes of exploitation, kaingin making or shifting cultivation, discriminate harvesting of a mining forest product, the recycling method of the waste material, and carry out and continuing in effect of reforestation, timber, stand improvement, forest protection, and land classification, forest occupancy management, agri-silviculture, range management, agri-silvicultural kaingin management, industrial tree plantation, park and wildlife management, multiple use forest, timber management, and forest research. Section 32. Use of fertilizer and pesticides. The use of fertilizer and pesticides in agriculture shall be regulated, prescribing, therefore, a tolerance level in their use. Section 33. Management policy in soil conservation. The national government, through the Department of Natural Resources and the Department of Agriculture, shall likewise undertake a soil contribution program including the identification and protection of critical watershed areas, encouragement of scientific farming techniques, physical and biological means of soil conservation, of short-term and long-term research and technology for effective soil conservation. Chapter 4. Flood control and natural calamities. Section 34. Measuring flood control program. In addition to pertinent provision of the existing law, the following shall be included in a soil erosion, sediment, and flood control program: the control of soil erosion and the banks of rivers, the shore of lakes, and the seahorse, the control of flows, flooding, and from rivers and lakes, the conservation of water which, for purpose of this section, shall means forms of water, shall not be include captive water, the needs of fisheries and wildlife, and other rational uses of natural water. Measure to control the damming, diversion, taken and use of natural resource. So far, any such as active the quality and ability of natural water for the purpose and measure to estimate research in matter relating to natural water and soil conservation and application knowledge thereby acquired. Section 35. Measure to mitigate destructive effect of calamities. The national government, through the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Service Administration, shall promote intensified, concerted research effort on water modification, typhoon, earthquake, tsunami, storm surge, and other tropical national phenomena in order to bring about any significant effect to mitigate or prevent the destructive effect. Chapter 5. Energy Development. Section 36. Policy. Consistent with the environmental protection policies, the national government, through the Energy Development Board, shall undertake an energy development program encouraging the utilization of the various sources such as solar, wind, and tidal energy. Section 37. Measure for energy development. Measure for energy development program may include, but shall not limit to the following: setting up the pilot plants utilizing environment source of energy, training of technical personnel for purposes for energy development, conducting research into development technology for energy development. Section 38. Set a measure on energy development. Rules and regulations shall be formulated to prevent or mitigate the adverse effect of energy development on the environment, observe international effective standard of safety, and provide safety devices to ensure the health and welfare of the other personnel as well as surrounding community. Chapter 6. Conservation and Utilization of Surface and Groundwater. Section 39. Management Policy. In addition to existing law, the national government, through the National Water Resource Council in coordination with other appropriate government agencies, shall prescribe measures for the conservation and improvement of the quality of the Philippine water resource and provide prevention, control, abatement of water pollution. Chapter 7. Mineral Resource. Section 40. Management Policy. The national government, through the Department of Natural Resources, shall undertake a system of a gainful exploitation and rational and efficient utilization of mineral resources, and shall encourage citizens' participation via Indibor. Section 41. Measure for exploitation and utilization of mineral resource. Measure for the gainful exploitation and rationalization, utilization of such mineral resource may include but shall not be limited to the following: increasing research and development in mineral resource technology, training of additional technical manpower needed in geology, geophysics, mining engineering, and related fields, regulating the exploitation of identified mineral reserves, accelerating the exploration of undiscovered mineral deposits, and encouraging the establishment of processing plants for refined metal. Title 5. Waste Management. Section 42. Purpose. The purpose of the title are to set guidance for waste management with the view of ensuring its effectiveness, to encourage, promote, stimulate technological, educational, economic, and social effort to prevent environmental damage and necessarily use valuable resource of the nation to the recovery, recycling, and reuse of water and waste products, to provide measures to guide and encourage appropriate government agencies in establishing sound, efficient, comprehensive, and effective waste management. Chapter 1. Enforcement and Guidelines. Section 43. Waste Management Program. Preparation and implementation of waste management program shall be required of all provinces, cities, and municipalities. The Department of Local Government and Community Development shall promulgate guidelines for the formulation and establishment of waste management program. Every waste management program shall include the following: an orderly system of operating consistent with the needs of the area concerned, a provision that the operation will not create pollution of any kind or will constitute public nuisance, a system for a safe and sanitary disposal of waste, a provision that existing plans affecting the development, use and protection of air, water, or natural resource shall be considered, schedule and methods of implementing the development, construction, and operation of the plant together with estimated cost, and a provision for a periodic revision of the program to ensure its effective implementation. Section 44. Responsibility of local government. Each province, city, or municipality shall provide measures to facilitate the collection, transportation, processing, and disposal of waste within jurisdiction in coordination with other government agency concerned. Chapter 2. Methods of Solid Waste Disposal. Section 45. Solid Waste Disposal. Solid waste disposal shall be sanitary landfill, incineration, composting, and other methods as may be approved by the competent government authority. Section 46. Sanitary landfills. Local government, including private individuals, corporation, or organization, may operate one or more sanitary landfill. Section 46. Incineration and composting plants. The installation and establishment of incineration of composting plant or the acceleration modification of any part thereof shall be regulated by the local government concerned in coordination with the National Pollution Control Commission. Section 48. The site, the location of solid waste disposal, site shall conform with existing zoning, land use standard, and pollution control regulation. Section 49. Dumping into area, the sea, other navigable waters, dumping or disposal of solid waste into the sea and any body of water and the Philippines, including shorelines and river banks where the waste are likely to be washed into the water is prohibited. Chapter 3. Methods of Liquid Waste Disposal. Section 50. Liquid waste disposal. Wastewater from manufacturing plants, industries, community, or domestic source shall be treated either physically, biologically, or chemically powered to disposal in accordance with the rules and regulations promulgated by the proper government authority. Section 55. Applicability of Section 8. The provision of Section 8 hereof shall likewise apply to the dumping or disposal of the liquid waste in the sea and other bodies of water. Title 4. Miscellaneous Provision. Section 52. Population Environment Balance. In the assessment of development projects, the National Environmental Protection Council, hereinafter refer to this title, as the Council shall take into the consideration their effect on population with a view of achieving a rational orderly balance between the man and his environment. Section 53. Environmental Education. The Department of Education and Control shall integrate subject on environmental education in its school curricula at all levels. Section 54. Environmental Research. The Council shall undertake and promote continuing studies and research program on environmental management and shall from the time to time determine property areas of environmental research. Section 55. Monitoring and dissemination of environmental information of foreign origin. The Council shall keep itself informed of the current environmental developments by obtaining information and literature from foreign sources through the Department of Foreign Affairs, government agency, and other entities, both domestic and foreign. Section 56. Incentives. To operate the installation and utilization of pollution control facilities, the following incentives are hereby granted: exemption to the extent of 50% the traffic duties and compensating tax of the information of pollution control equipment, device, spare parts, and accessories for a period of 5 years from the effectivity of the decree, subject to the condition that will impose by the Council. A tax created equivalent to 50% at value of compensating tax and terrific duties that would have been paid on the pollution control equipment, device, spare parts, and accessories had these items been imported shall, within a periodic of 7 years from the effectivity of decree, be given to the person or firm who is which purchased the domestic manufacture and other tax created equivalent to 25% thereof shall given to the said manufacturer, subject to such condition as may be imposed by the Council. Reduction equivalent of 50% of the expenses actually incurred in research project undertaking to develop technologies for the manufacture of pollution control equipment which have been improved and effective, and commercially reproducible and taxable income of the person or firm actual undertaking, such as project subject to the condition that may be imposed by the Council. Section 57. Financial Assistance Grant. Financial Assistance Grant for the study, design and construction of environmental protection facilities, especially for waste disposal in favor of cities, municipalities, small and medium-scale industries, may be granted on a case-to-case basis, subject to such condition as may be imposed by the Council. Section 50. Participation of local government units and private individuals. It shall be responsibility of the local government units as well as private individuals to actively participate in the environmental management and protection program of the government. Section 59. Reservation to holistic and cultural resource and heritage. It shall be duty of every person to help preserve the historic and cultural resource of the country, such as sites, structures, artifacts, documents, objects, memorial, and priceless trees. Section 60. Government offices performing environmental protection functions. Government agencies vested by law to exercise environmental management powers shall continue to function as such within area respective jurisdiction. Section 61. Public hearings. The Council may, whenever it deems necessary, conduct public hearings on issue of environmental significance. Section 62. Definition of terms. As used in this code, ambient air quality means the average atmospheric purity as distinguished from desired measurement taken at the source of pollution. It is the general amount of pollution present in a broad area. Emission means the act of passing into the atmosphere an contaminant pollutant gas. The stream an unwanted sound from the known source. Water quality means the characteristic of water which define its use in terms of physical, chemical, and biological content. Hence, the quality of water domestic use and different from this industrial use. Water quality surveillance means the cost of continuous supervision of the water quality to detect development, movements, or change in characteristic of water. Water quality standard means a plan and established by the government authority as a program for water pollution, prevention and amendment. Influent standard means restriction established to limit level of concentration of physical, chemical, and biological constituents which are discharged from point source. Cleanup operation refers to activities conducted in removing the pollutant discharge or spill in water to restore it pre-spill condition. Accidental spills refer to spills of oil or hazardous substances in water that result from accident involving the carriers of such substances as are collusion and grounding. Areas of critical environmental concern and areas where our control developed could result irreparable damage to important heuristic, cultural, aesthetic value, or natural system, or process of a natural significance. Hazardous substance means elements or compound which any, when discarded in any quantity, present imminent of substitutional danger to public health and welfare. Areas impacted by public facilities refers to area where the introduction of public facilities may tend to induce development and urbanization of more logical significance or impact, environmental impact, and alteration to any degree of environmental condition, and the creation of new set of environmental condition, adverse or beneficial to be induced or caused by a proposed project. Government agencies refers to national, local, and regional agencies, instrumentalists, including government-owned and controlled corporation. Title 7. Final Provision. Section 63. Separatability of provision. If any provision of this code, or the application of such provision to any person or circumstances is declared unconstitutional and remainder of the code, or the application of such provision to other person or circumstances shall not be affected by such declaration. Section 64. Effectivity. This code shall take effect upon its approval.